All right. Good morning, everybody. So the big headline today is that Trump moves to deploy the National Guard to Chicago, and that's what we're going to talk about this morning. Mario's running a little bit behind. He's got some stuff he's handling at the house, but he'll be with us in just a few minutes. There's so yeah, that's the headline. Trump is sending the National Guard to Chicago, and there's some noise being made about it. You know, the lefties are screaming fascist and, oh, he's a dictator, he's trying to take over. Well, here's the thing. We have government. And at best, the argument I can make for government is that it is a necessary evil. I'm a big proponent for the smallest possible government, right? If I had my way, the extent of government would essentially be my ideal governing situation would be something akin to a tribal situation in modernity, right? The world is governed by families, large families, right? So states would be much smaller, but individual states would be large, like gigantic family businesses, right? You know, like take for example, Samsung. You can look at companies all over the world and look at what the name of the company means. Like Microsoft, they make computers. It's small, soft, where, right? You know, you can ask Gates why he named his company after his dick, and that's never going to not be funny. But the fact is that he came up with a name for the company. You got the Korean electronics and appliance manufacturer LG. Well, LG stands for Life is Good because a Korean company wanted to sell products to Americans. But then you get companies like Samsung. They didn't come up with a name for the business. Samsung is the family name, right? And so you know companies like Ford, right? Old Hank didn't say, "Huh, what am I going to call this? I think I'll call it Ford for." No, it was his damn name. It was his last name. That's the name of the company, right? Would you rather buy your eggs from Walmart or from Farmer Johnson down the street, right? I don't tend to buy my meat from Publix. I buy it from Palmer at his farm, and I go up and I shake hands with Mr. Palmer, and I buy a freezer full of cow. Right? By the way, guys, find you a farmer. Go hand him $1,000, right? And put 6 months worth of meat in your freezer. And then grow everything else you eat. We're not quite there yet, but we're close, and it's fucking nice. So the point I'm getting at there, you know, a larger government is a functionally a necessary evil. So in the world I just described, with much smaller states where you have, you know, kind of tribe, clan, family owns, you know, 1 million square acres, and they're running a family business. They're a farming family. They're a manufacturing family. They're a mining family. And that is the business that they do in their territory, right? You know, just like with modern cities, et cetera, you're going to have other stuff. So, you know, most of my kids might, you know, we might become farmers, and then most of my kids are working the farm. But then you got one that's just, you know, Dad, I don't like being out in the field and doing that all day. I'm going to open a burger stand down. Hey, that's great. That's great. You're going to open a restaurant near the farm, and your customers are going to be the family. Your customer is going to be the family, the family's business concerns, the family's customers. right? They're going to be the guys from the mining family in the basically city state that Derb plays next door, who come to talk trade deals and how we're gonna trade. We need their mining material for our farm implements, and they need our farm products to feed their miners. They're going to business, and while they're going to shop in our grocery stores, they're going to shop in our, and they're going to go eat at our restaurants. They're going to shop here, right? They're going to come here and buy clothes, and we're going to go over there and buy tools, etc. That'd be fantastic, but it's not where we're at. Where we're at is we have the necessary evil of a larger government. What's up, Mario? Good morning.
Good morning.
So what we have is the necessary evil of a larger government, and we have expectations of that government, as we should, because I cannot stress this enough. It infuriates me when I hear politicians refer to themselves as leaders. They are not leaders, right? If I go to a McDonald's and order a cheeseburger, you are not a leader because you provide me with something. You are a client. I am your client. That makes you my employee, right? For that individual transaction, you are following orders and getting and I'm getting a product from you. Okay. Mario just asked for the chat, and when he did, I noticed.
Oh, no one's watching.
I have the pop-out chat available for me. So it looks like nobody's watching, but in fact,
we have 0 viewers.
That is in fact not the case, as you will see when you pop open the pop-out chat there, Mario. I just sent you the link.
It's a going out of business sale. Okay.
Yeah.
Everything must go. Liquidate everything. Okay.
Yeah, I'm. This is what, 4 days in a row now. I'm gonna have to contact Rumble because I'm gonna have to get back on their asses. I sent them a message the other day. I haven't heard back.
In regards to?
See, Patrick Brown asks, "Is that Mario grunting in the background?"
Yeah, it's me. I'm extremely congested this morning. Okay, I did not clean my CPAP like I should have, and now my entire sinuses, throat, everything is just all phlegm. Okay. Because I used a dirty CPAP last night.
Ha ha. So,
what were you talking about?
Completely broke my train of thought. Okay, so I started off with the headline: Trump sending the National Guard into Chicago.
Yeah,
and I was talking about my preference for a small government to lead up to the conversation about having a large government. We have large government. I prefer the smallest possible government, but we don't have that. So the pushback, of course, Trump's a fascist. He's a Nazi. He's like Hitler. Hitler would totally have enforced the law.
Yep.
Okay. Hitler also ate sausages. Oh, wait, no, he was a vegetarian, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was a vegetarian.
You know what? That's all you need to know about Hitler. He was a socialist and a vegetarian.
He also drank custom-made 2% ABV beer. So, interesting factoid.
God, so he was between that and the genetic origins of his little brown mustache. He was basically the quintessential beta male. He was even an art fag.
He won the Iron Cross, like he was a World War I hero, like he served with distinction. So I wouldn't say that. He had health problems. He had significant health problems.
Was he enlisted or was he an officer?
He was an enlisted man.
Okay.
He was a corporal.
Anyway, so my point there, large government. What we have is a very large government, and you expect services from a government. Now, we've talked many, many times before about how government being a necessary evil. The fact is,
what's the first thing a government's supposed to do?
Nothing. Hang on. There's nothing that the government can do that is not done better by private industry. And I want to be very clear about this. I'm not saying that there is a private industry, that there is a way for private industry to do anything and everything that government can do if we just want the private industry to do it. No. I'm saying for literally every single thing, with one exception, that the government does, there is already a private industry doing that. What is that one exception?
Conduct war? I don't know.
Nope. Private industry can do that, does that. Blackwater exists. No, the one exception is the exportation of political corruption.
Where exactly?
What do you mean where? USAID, CIA coups, the use of the Ministry of Truth variants to promulgate propagandization.
Well, I think the private sector could be way more evil than the government if the government would just get out of the way, okay, and cut the restrictions. All right, get rid of regulations. Private sector could be twice as evil as the government if they wanted to be.
Actually, you know what, Mario, that right there, that could be a whole show, that conversation right there, because I would argue, monopoly can only exist with something like government protection. A monopoly can only exist where violence is used by force to enforce the existence of the monopoly. And all corporate corruption is related to dealing with federal regulation, state regulation. That's the reason that the only thing government does that private industry doesn't do is the exportation of corruption. The only reason is because corruption in the corporate world looks like trying to get around burdensome and restrictive government regulation. Because what corruption is trying to deal with government. When the government puts you in a position where you can no longer deal honestly without running afoul of their regulation, that's where corruption enters corporate interest. That's why private industry does medicine, does roads, does war, does logistics, does everything better than government.
Wasn't the point? Maybe it's my fault because I was late, but I thought the point of the show. Yeah, I mean, you've spent the last 15 minutes besmirching, okay, government power, right? When the point of the program was to advocate for common sense blacks control, all right? And
yes.
How are we supposed to square that? Okay.
You came in and interrupted. So you threw me entirely off. So where I was getting to is the deployment of the National Guard to Chicago. There is good reason for it. There's good legal justification for it, right? And we're going to get to that. So the main headline is Trump moves to deploy the National Guard, right? President Trump announces intent to send National Guard troops to Chicago. Justification to curb violent crime and restore law and order. As sparks protests from city leaders and legal challenges. Governor Pritzker and Mayor Johnson call it unconstitutional. Well, that's adorable. They call it unconstitutional.
That's like your opinion, man.
It's just like your opinion, man. We'll get to that in a minute. But let me give you some. This isn't legal justification at first. I'm going to start with practical justification, right? The long history of corruption in Chicago. Chicago is the most corrupt city in the country.
In fact, they're proud of it. Okay, like that is their history.
Yes, right. Long history of machine politics and patronage. Patronage is basically when we talk about the pay for play scams. like Hillary Clinton getting $250,000 for a half-hour speaking engagement, or selling American enriched uranium to her enemies. Corruption is the name of the game in Chicago, right? Now, and I didn't even pull up the headline for it, but we, like, over the weekend we saw headlines out of Chicago. ABC News, in fact, published the headline that 57 fatal shootings happened over the weekend, despite Trump. Go ahead, Mario.
The number was revised. It was 58 people shot. Eight of them were killings. So
okay, but I saw a meme on Twitter. Not really a meme, but they're saying, "Oh, this is just straight propaganda here," because the ABC headline was 57 before it was revised. It was 57 shootings as Democrats protest Trump sending National Guard to protect citizens. And I was like, wow, that's an incredibly pro-Trump headline to come out of ABC generally. Sergeant Major says LBJ set the precedent. No, he was just the next one in a very, very long line of grotesque corruption. So let me give you the timeline here.
No, he's talking about forced desegregation at gunpoint with bayonets. Okay, sending federal troops to.
Yes. Yeah. Fair point. And actually, even on that, Dad, the National Guard was sent in a similar way before that. I think I've got that. I think I've got those dates in the timeline to later in the slideshow. But so in the 1920s, you got Capone and the mobsters colluding with city officials. Basically, you're talking about Prohibition era, and the bootleggers were the funding mechanism for the politicians, for the political machine. That's not the beginning of political corruption generally. You can go back further than that, obviously, to Tammany Hall in New York, but that's kind of the genesis of the modern Democrat machine politic mechanism, right? And then so the slideshow says Anton Cermak builds Democratic machine with ethnic coalitions. To be clear, when we're talking about building ethnic coalitions in the 20s and 30s, we're talking about coalitions of the Irish, the Polish, the Italians, etc. Basically, what you're talking about is organized crime families with national heritage identities. You still with me, Mario?
Yeah, I'm here. Anton Cermak. Yeah. Aaron Olson, yes, he is indeed. Okay. All right. Job.
What was the?
Yeah. So it was ethnic coalitions. Yes. So, Chicago was also probably one of the most Catholic cities in the country at the time, just from the influx of the Irish, Italian, and Polish especially. Okay. Chicago was like the gateway to America for Polish immigrants. And
it's funny, Mario, in Chicago, there's a lot of organized crime today. And what's funny is the gangs in Chicago today, a lot of them have names like the Popes, the Angels, the Acolytes. They all have. There's a lot of Catholic imagery.
Yeah, but it's just imagery
in Chicago.
It's just imagery. The Little Italy, Little Poland, okay, the Irish neighborhoods, all those neighborhoods basically are gone. Okay, now it's all black or all Hispanic.
Yes.
Okay. Most of them fled during
your point about all the Catholics there, at the beginning of this with the Polish, Italian, Irish, etc. A lot of that imagery, a lot of that kind of motif has stuck around in the organized crime in that city,
Yeah.
even up to today.
Yeah. It's like the local. Yeah. I can't really function today. Okay, so I'm really like half. I'm half here. Okay. I'm barely functioning.
I'm gonna buy you an IV stand for your coffee drip.
Yeah.
So, you fast forward to the 50s, and you get the introduction of the Daley political machine, and that's where you get the patronage armies, right? Which is basically your politicians are handing out contracts. This is kind of the genesis of the concept of the no bid contract. It's like, hey, we're going to make sure that you get the contract you want. We're not going to make you go through a bidding war and get your profit margin cut down. But you're gonna butter our bread for us too, right? And we all know which side is the bread buttered on, Mario?
The side that hits the ground when you drop it.
Yes, it's buttered on the floor side. That's correct.
Okay.
We could do a half-hour show on the metaphysics of stapling buttered toast to the back of a cat,
and then the perpetual motion machine.
Tossing it off a large building, and then you just have to apply a drive shaft somehow. It gets rough. So 60s, we get to election fraud allegations. Illinois tipped for JFK. 68, Democrat riots, police violence, and machine crackdown. 68, is that when was LBJ elected?
He wasn't. He became president in 1963, and then 1964. So 1964, LBJ won president. He lost in 68. Nixon won in 68 in like a landslide.
Right. Yeah. Man. Okay, let me jot down a note. I can't believe this isn't already on the list, but we need to do a deep dive on LBJ, Great Society, and the origin of what originated with the Great Society, Mario?
The welfare system.
I think you meant the projects? National debt.
National debt, yeah. Also, that was under LBJ was. Well, that's when we started becoming a vassal state of another country. That's when the USS Liberty occurred as well.
Yeah, it's hard to I've heard people argue obviously that Biden was the worst president ever just because he's the most recent awful president, but people make the case for Obama being the worst, for Carter being the worst, for Wilson, for LBJ. I think LBJ did the most damage. Wilson set us up for failure, but LBJ really took advantage of our having been set up for failure.
Yeah.
Of course, you can't ignore the damage done by the existence of Social Security. So you got to go back to God damn it.
Well, Sergeant Major says, yeah.
Anyway.
So Vietnam escalation with no intention to win. You had the passage 1965 Civil Rights Act, right, which is honestly many aspects of it are unconstitutional that violate the freedom of association, right? You had the 1965 Hart-Celler Immigration Act, which forever ruined the demographics of America, or planted the seed that would eventually that would lead to that. So mass non-white immigration. The United States escalation in Vietnam, a budget busting, what would become a budget busting federal outlay spending for the Great Society of programs, right? The actual government advocacy of Black women to not worry about a husband, okay, like not care about proper family creation, and
right.
to just get on welfare. Yeah, and Operation Monarch. All right, basically the CIA running amok with with the media. Okay, they're like their control of the media, them pushing stories, having people at major news agencies on the payroll so that they could get the stories they wanted. Like it's bad. Okay. Also, 1968 was a freaking disaster. That was one of the worst years in like post-war America. You had the assassination of Martin Luther King. You had the assassination of Robert RFK, or Jesus Christ, I can't think this morning. Freaking Maha director's father. Okay, whatever. What's his fucking name, Chris? Help me out.
JFK.
RFK, whatever.
RFK is the Maha secretary currently. Yes.
God. But yeah, 1968 was a calamitous year for the United States.
Oh, real quick, I see Mega Yum Yum Time is thirsting over cami cams right now, and I don't see cami cams in the chat here, but I see Mega Yum Yum Time complaining about the channel's prohibition on his cam. Yum Yum, you gotta do your part, man. You got to share the channel, talk about the channel, tell people to come watch the Brushfire Mind, grow this bad boy so that I can make Cameron quit his day job and get back on the air full time. All right,
he's never gonna do that. He's never gonna do that. Look, just give Mega Yum Yum Time. Give him Cameron's address, okay? Just let it get sorted out. Okay, dox the absolute fuck. Dox Cameron completely. Give all the information to Mega. All right, that's what needs to happen.
Don't worry about it, babe. You my Spartan warrior. We got you. We got you covered, Mega. You keep coming and thirsting. We'll sit here and be sexy for you, baby. So, moving on. Federal crackdowns, 1980s, Operation Greylord, judges, lawyers, and cops on the take. Right? Send lawyers, guns, and money. The shit has hit the fan. Operation Silver Shovel, aldermen bribed over illegal dumping. Dozens of convictions, but the machine goes on. So, yeah, the 80s and 90s, there was a lot of crackdown in Chicago, but seemingly to no avail. The corruption runs so deep that you almost can't law enforce your way out of it. You just about have to burn the city down and start over, because then we move on to the 2000s.
selling Obama's Senate seat.
And is Blagojevich still in jail?
No, man. Trump pardoned him during his first term. Yes.
That's right.
Trump pardoned him, and now he's a sock puppet for Trump. Okay, like whatever Trump's like. Hey, I need you to go on the news and basically and pitch my theme or whatever. Blagojevich has to do it. So he got pardoned to be basically Trump's bitch in Chicago permanently.
Well, and I mean, let's be real. The rot is so deep in Chicago that maybe the only answer is more corruption. Right? Aaron Olson says he's now on Fox News. I didn't know. I never watched Fox News.
Yeah,
don't get it twisted. I love a long, slender pair of legs and a short skirt as much as the next guy. But if I'm going to turn on a news channel, I need to hear something intelligible. So let's talk about the legal framework. There is the argument that the Posse Comitatus Act bans active duty military from conducting law enforcement activities. The exception, Insurrection Act from 1807, which, by the way, predates the Posse Comitatus Act. In the event of rebellion or insurrection, or the obstruction of law makes enforcement impracticable, is the language from the act. Civil rights protections, because they're ignored by the state or local officials. So your presidents, Eisenhower did it in Little Rock, Bush in the LA riots. Sergeant Major mentioned mentioned LBJ setting the precedent, but no, it was at least as far back as Eisenhower in 57.
Dude, Eisenhower
So,
in the Watts riots in LA, man.
yeah,
That was actual shoot, like the National Guard came in and was shooting black people. Okay. It was that bad because the blacks had armed themselves and were shooting back on the federal troops, right? They had a particular weapon. I think it was called like the screaming, the something angry bee or whatever. Okay. It was a automatic 22 LR rifle that had a drum magazine on top that would hold 100 rounds, right? And this was actually a police weapon at the time. They would just basically unload it, spray it at kneecaps, okay, against hordes of people to break up a riot. Fucking based. All right.
yeah. Okay, so Trump's justification, obstruction of law argument, Soros-backed DAs refusing to prosecute crimes, that's been a major repeated theme for well, at least the last 10 years. It's been going on longer than that, but it's been something that's been intelligently in the public consciousness since about the middle of Trump's first term, right? Hey, Mark, can talk about Soros for a minute while I go grab some coffee real quick.
Oh, God.
You can do this.
Who is George Soros? George Soros, Hungarian Jew, and Nazi. He was a Nazi collaborator in his youth. Actually, helped the SS hunt down his own family and cohort. Okay, interesting man. He also became a billionaire through currency speculation. All right, just currency trading. I don't know where the initial fortune came from. I know, yeah, he shorted the British pound. That's correct, Aaron Olson, right? And became a billionaire. Where this original money came from, I don't know. But the bottom line is, Soros is a mega billionaire. He's got whatever infant blood injection program that Henry Kissinger was on. He's clearly on the same thing. The man is ancient and frail, but never dies. He has put billions of dollars into American politics, okay, for progressive causes. He runs the Open Society Foundation, which is an international NGO that advocates for increasing immigration and increasing refugee services all throughout the West. Yeah, basically he is. If you look at the like Arabella, okay, like Arabella, the dark money distributing organization funding various protest movements, various left-wing causes. Soros is above that. Okay, he is basically the source money for a very significant amount of left-wing activity in the United States, especially ground level agitation. So every time you see Antifa, there's a Soros dollar somewhere behind that. Okay.
Yes,
for sure, for certain.
And I'll tell you what here's what I really want to see. I want to see investigations and information about how Soros was tied to USAID. Right? Because there's so much overlap between the organizations that get money from Soros and that get money from USAID. It's almost impossible to cognize that that Soros and AID and USAID weren't working hand in glove. And that could be as simple as communicating, hey, we've both got big pots of money. Let's both send some money to this thing, and let's both send some money to this thing. Or it could be them money laundering back and forth to one another. It could be USAID laundering U.S. tax dollars to Soros to then be redistributed through his coalition of evil. I would love to see the financial, the economic forensics on that relationship, because that relationship clearly exists.
Yeah. Yeah, it does.
So back to Trump's justification. There's two ways I see that really make a lot of sense for this. You've got the question of it being impracticable for enforcement, and you've got the question of protecting citizens' rights. Like I mentioned earlier, large government generally is a necessary evil. So the opposing argument is crime does not equal rebellion. Local non-enforcement does not equal insurrection. Okay, if January 6th can be called an insurrection, then everywhere that criminals exist must also be called insurrection. Right? Now, I've explained before the difference between what happened on January 6th and what an actual insurrection looks like is essentially when
an actual insurrection was earlier that year, okay, with the BLM Antifa riots. That was an actual insurrection.
Well, more salient were specifically the occupied zones, the Capitol Hill protest zone, the Chop Chaz, the Capitol Hill occupied zone. Right. They called themselves autonomous zones. And you're talking about political agitators and activists claiming a section of land and using arms, carrying weapons, for the stated explicit purpose of denying access to that property to law enforcement, to government agents, to citizens, etc. They were basically taking command and control of public lands and saying, we declare this separate to the United States and the local government. That's an insurrection. That is what an insurrection is, literally and by definition.
Yeah.
Now,
what
happened on January 6th, at worst, can be called a riot, because the argument being made is the idea that you've got a group of people trying to overthrow the government. That doesn't work in the January 6th case. An insurrection is explicitly a dissident group going against the government. The fact is that what happened on January 6th, if you try to interpret it within that framework, what you're talking about is the people of the nation who support the current government in power joined in solidarity with that government to prevent usurpers from overthrowing it.
Yep. I mean, I agree. I mean, you know how I feel about it. Unscheduled field trip to the Capitol, right? Resulted in nearly the loss of American democracy, of our democracy. Yep.
So the pro-Trump argument here, as I've got it listed, Constitution guarantees protection against domestic violence. Yeah. Right. If we're going to pay to have law enforcement, Chicago's system is broken. Prosecutors and police won't enforce laws. That goes back to the Soros thing, right?
What is a government?
The Soros prosecutors they're just cutting criminals loose. They're not prosecuting people. And like I said, this was especially prominent in 2020 with the BLM activists that we were talking about. Not only were the prosecutors actively just returning these criminals to the streets, but you had at the time candidate for vice president. You had Kamala Harris personally and Joe Biden's staffers individually actively raising money for bail funds to keep criminals from having the law enforced against them. So the Insurrection Act covers unlawful obstructions. And that's a direct fit. What's happening in Chicago with Soros prosecutors, corrupt cops, corrupt law enforcement commanders, corrupt Mayor corrupt. What's the fat boy's name? Pritzker, the governor.
Pritzker.
Right. Gross corruption and obesity. Because Jesus, come on, homeboy. I mean, I'm a big boy, but son, every now and then you got to do some push-aways. Believe me. Oh, push-ups can help, but push-aways will help you more.
He's more the Ozempic type.
Right. But their failure to enforce the law, and let me be clear, this is not a failure to enforce the law. That's what it looks like on paper. But what it is it is a refusal to enforce the law.
That's what I've been trying to say.
Intentional and corrupt refusal to enforce the law, explicitly in support of the criminals with whom they align politically.
What is the primary purpose?
BLM doesn't spend time in jail.
What is the primary purpose of any government? What's the first thing a government's supposed to do?
To protect its sovereign
provide security.
Yep.
Exactly. So Chicago is failing in the very first principle of what a government is even supposed to be. All right. I don't think they have a say anymore. And under the opposing argument, sets a precedent for presidents to override any DA they like. I mean, yeah, but this is a case where it's justified. All right, it sets a legal precedent for justified federal action due to local inaction. Okay.
Hold on just a second. I'm looking something up.
Yeah, better solve the elections and local reform. Not true. I mean, pretty sure the local elections that's been out the window.
Right, local elections and local reform in Chicago were not an option. That is what corruption.
Correct.
This is what corruption does.
It can't be corrected through political means. I mean, maybe once Obama's library is complete, okay, then it will send beacons of hope throughout the south side of Chicago, and then the people will be amenable to change, right? But I don't know. One can only hope. By the way, have you seen Obama's library? Have you seen what that thing looks like?
Yeah, the brutalist Soviet bloc garbage.
Yeah, it looks like what was it? It looks like something out of Half-Life 2. Okay.
Yeah.
Like you're outside of it, and like the cop is gonna like knock the soda can off the trash can and tell you to pick it up at gunpoint. Like that's the feeling I get when I look at that building.
Yeah. So.
It looks like an alien. It looks like an alien ship that landed, and it's about to like transform into a robot or something. It's not good.
For a little perspective on corruption, and this also goes to the conversation recently about gerrymandering. In 2024, 54% went for Kamala Harris, 43% went for Donald Trump. Right. So like we always point out, it's always just a little to either side of 50-50 in any given blue or red state. There's nowhere that you're getting like 10% one color and 90% everything else. But in places like Illinois, right, 43%, so just under half of the citizens of Illinois voted for Donald Trump. Illinois has 19 electoral college votes, right? That's 19 seats in the House. And they are 100% awarded to Harris. Illinois is gerrymandered to the hilt. That is pure political corruption.
Well, yeah, I believe the figure was something like the Republicans got 43% of the vote, but have only 18% of offices, electable offices in the state. So. And if you look at the map of Illinois, there's one particular district that's just comical. All right.
Yeah.
It looks like a snake. Okay. It's like the quest for diversity, cutting through the
yeah. Despite the state being 43% Republican, of course, Cook County, that's where Illinois is, went 70% for Harris.
Yeah.
And she still got 300,000 fewer votes than Biden did in 2020, right? And that's for a state. That's huge, right? So, I mean, the naked corruption there is just unconscionable. And so the idea that the federal government would come in and enforce the law, shit, you could say it's under the Commerce Clause. You're mismanaging your state so severely that you're impacting interstate commerce. That's a spurious argument that I would leave for the kind of shitbird lawyers that think we should have drug laws. But that, so the
Chris wants to make bad faith arguments. Chris wants to make bad faith arguments to tie up the resources of the enemy. He's becoming a Democrat, just like Cameron.
Ouch. Ouch.
I joke, I kid.
Well, there's some people out there like Alinsky who were evil, but not wrong.
No, he's tactically sound.
Yeah, tactically brilliant. Mm-hmm. Evil, but tactically brilliant. So, Chicago corruption legacy fuels distrust. Trump frames guard deployment as restoring law and order. And this right here, I included this slide for this piece right here. Trump frames guard deployment as restoring law and order. This is what I like to call propaganda.
Yeah.
Propaganda. Yeah. So yes, there is such a thing as propaganda that is good. Saying, okay, let's bring the cameras back up. You're all familiar with the concept of the big lie, right? Very very classic Goebbels, and of course they tried to frame the narrative around the corruption of the 2020 election as Trump engaging in Nazi style big lie propaganda. But here's the thing about the big lie is the big truth can work the same way, right? It's not just that a lie repeated often enough. The quote is, a lie repeated often enough becomes the truth. A lie repeated often enough becomes accepted as true by the masses. But here's the thing. The truth, the actual truth, and that's why our motto here is the truth should matter, right? The truth should matter. The truth repeated often enough also becomes the accepted truth. And the thing about the truth over a lie is you don't have to work as hard at the truth. Right? It's easy to craft a delightful lie that's easy to accept, but you have to craft it. You have to sugarcoat it. Right? And the thing about sugar-coated shit is, as pretty as it might be, eventually you take a bite and you say, oh,
Yep.
It could be an everlasting gobstopper, but at some point you're going to get through all the layers of sugar coating and you're going to have a mouthful of shit. Right?
Be controversial. Says propaganda as a word got a bad rep after World War II, so our propaganda offices became public relations. Be controversial. Please tell me you watched the deep dive on that.
Yeah, because that was a great deep dive.
We did a great show.
That may have been one of our best ones to date.
That's right. Edward Bernays in the Century of Self. Absolutely. All right.
Yeah. So, the critics are framing this as constitutional overreach. I don't want to see the federal government deploying U.S. military troops, even National Guard, on U.S. soil. I don't. But you know what? I also don't want to see my cities on fire. I don't want to see my commerce and at economic hubs reduced to dumpster fires of political corruption and organized crime. I don't want to drive through downtown Atlanta with my windows up and smell pot while I'm doing 70 on the freeway. Right? If I'm getting skunk weed,
it's that saturated.
AC,
It's that saturated.
Yeah, I shit you not. If I'm getting skunk weed through my AC at speed on the freeway, we have a problem. Right? We have a fucking problem. So yeah, where we're at right now, the National Guard coming to your city, Soros paid for this. He bought the situation that put us where we are. USAID paid for this. They bought the situation that put you where you are. Foreign invaders, organized crime, drug trafficking, right?
You know, not everyone knows that. Not everyone knows that Chicago is like a major hub for cartel activity. Okay.
Yeah.
Like there's a huge Mexican population there. Okay. The cartel activity is so big that they actually have their own branches that sometimes get into fights with the cartel back home in Mexico. Okay. It's huge there. Chicago's always been like a hub, okay, for commerce from the East Coast to the West Coast, all across the United States. Just given its geography, okay, and it's no different for the drug trade. It always has been a major distribution center for drugs, weapons, and human trafficking victims. So, yeah.
Yep. So yeah, as far as the argument, the opposing argument of constitutional overreach, like Mario pointed out earlier, the security of the people is the first, and I would argue only, legitimate function of government.
It's the reason people go into compacts, okay, to create like a government, right? Why would you willingly cooperate with a group of people and come up with a system that is going to have power over your life? Okay, why would you want to do that? For basic security, because we have to protect ourselves, and as individuals, all right, as atomized individuals, we do not have the ability to defend our property. Okay, really, what it comes down to. So, it's a contract between the people and the government.
Yep.
To provide security.
All right. Well, let's you about ready to put a pen in it there, Mario?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to close on this before I let Mario go. I want to hit you guys real quick with there we go. Rumble. If you haven't already, make sure you download the Rumble app. It's free, simple to use, and the best way to stay connected to the content you want. Once you've got it, search for my channel and hit follow. That way you'll get a notification every time we go live. No missed shows, no extra steps. And we're not going to flood you with a bunch of spam on that either. You can grab it right now using the link in the description or the pinned live chat, download it to your phone, and you're ready to go. And if you prefer watching on the big screen, Rumble is available on all major streaming devices and smart TVs. Just search for Rumble, follow the channel, and be part of the action. And guys, you got to be logged in with your free account, right? You got to be logged in with your free Rumble account while we're live, and you got to leave a comment while we're live if you want to get one of the free subs. So we're giving away free subscriptions, free 1 month subscriptions to Rumble Premium and this channel, right? And in order to get that free subscription, you have to be logged in. Be Controversial just got it this morning. Just got the freebie this morning. Congratulations, B. I hope to see you Saturday evening for the live stream. And you've got to have that premium membership to be able to watch the live streams. Those are behind the paywall. We kick all the freeloaders. All you guys watching on YouTube and X and Facebook right now, we kick all you freeloaders off at 21:15-ish on Saturday nights before we go into the deep dives, where you might just hear Mario say the N-word, because boy, is that a chuckle and a half. But y'all check that out.
Do we need to bring up that
description?
Do we need to bring up that particular slide from that infamous presentation? Is today the day we remind them?
It is not. Not on this side of the paywall, and on YouTube it's not. So, you guys, thanks for watching this morning. Do check us out on Rumble. We are trying to, we're trying to grow this channel, and I want to grow it on Rumble more than anywhere else. It'd be great if we started getting a paycheck from YouTube as well. But right now, Rumble pays the bills. So y'all make sure you feed that algorithm. Tell your friends. Talk about the show. Talk about the things we talk about on the show. Right? I've talked before about preaching to the choir and why it's important. Understand, you'll hear people say, "Oh, you're preaching to the choir, brother." And okay, usually when you hear that, it means one of two things. It means I already agree with you. So, hey, you're preaching to the choir, brother. We already agree, and that's awesome. Or you're told, well, you're just preaching to the choir, as in your words are meaningless, they're useless, because you're just regurgitating talking points to people who already agree with you. But preaching to the choir is important because we spend our time studying the material. We are subject matter experts in politics and in the analytics of global strategic positioning and operational tempo. And so when you're preaching to the choir, you are taking the people who agree with you and you are arming them. You are wrapping them in the armor of faith to be able to go out into the world armed and ready to defend their position, because every war is won in one way and one way only. When boots on the ground, use force to hold territory.
That's right. So participate in your local positive feedback loops. Okay, that's right.
Yeah, and hey guys, for any of you that are in Georgia, especially, because I can only drive so far, right? For any of you that are in Georgia, especially, see, DGU submissions and all that, but the show at brushfiremind.com, or you can go to brushfiremind.com. No indefinite article, just brushfiremind.com, and use the contact link there to send us an email. I want to know about local events. I want to know about your local GOP meetings that you're going to. I want to know about your local vendor fairs, your fall festivals coming up. And I want to be able to go there and engage with people, set up pop-up booths, do live streams from on location, right? You remember your old DJs, your old shock jocks. You get 96 Rock coming to you from the Hooters in downtown Atlanta. Let's be those guys for a while. Let's play that game for a while. And to do that, I'm going to need to know where those places are. I'm looking them up and finding fall festivals around, and I'll be announcing events as they come up, as I decide whether or not I can make one viable. But you guys could help a lot with that if you just pay attention to what's going on around you and send us messages. Let us know where you want to see us, and we'll try to be there. Like I said, Georgia, maybe Florida if Mario's feeling froggy.
Yeah.
So, and with that, thanks for watching this morning, guys. We love you. Mario, do you have anything else?
Nope. I need to go. I need a neti pot or something. I can't breathe. Okay, my sinuses. I cannot breathe. Like, I've been in discomfort
Understood.
the entire show. All right.
Well, here, man, I could give you. I could just give you the screen, and you can go get that neti pot. I'm sure people would love to watch that shit. Y'all be safe out there, guys. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow.
Ciao.
2-hour live stream of Mario washing out his sinuses. Ooh, we could take Rumble Rants. People could pay to watch you put increasingly spicy additives into your neti pot. Bring it out the ghost pepper. Raw.